time has come, folks. This is it. The non-conference slate is over. Indiana went 3-0. Unsurprisingly, however, hey, as Curt Cignetti pointed out, Old Dominion, pretty decent, ain't they? Hoosiers made it easy. Made it look simple. Win probability was never threatened. IU's now a top 20 football team, and number 9 is coming to our house.
Hmm.
Curt Cignetti wanted this chance last year. He never got it. He wanted to face a great team at The Rock, at Memorial Stadium, at Merchants Bank Field, presented by Cindy Simon Scott. Nah, that's not true. All right, look, this is
Huh.
it. This is it. This is the best game of the weekend.
Hmm.
Whatever college game day wants to gaslight us about, this is this is the matchup of the weekend in college football, and it's going to take place in Bloomington, Indiana. Illinois, Indiana, the Illini and the Hoosiers, a proper Big Ten traditional matchup. Matt and I are going to dive into all of it, folks. That's what we're talking about today, and so much more here on episode 351 of the Hoosier Sound, where we're the official podcast of Indiana HQ. We are recording this edition of the Hoosier Sound on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. I'm your host, Nithin Christian. Here with me is my normal co-host, Matt Lukens. Matt, time is here. Illinois, and then Iowa, and then Oregon. Indiana's off to a 3-0 start. We'll dive into the matchup in full here in short notice, but 3-0 start. Indiana's looking good. A little bit of a bumpy defensive effort here and there against Old Dominion, but all in
Hmm.
all, what are your thoughts on this 3-0 start from the Hoosiers?
Well, I mean, they've done as well as I thought they would have. Again, we both talked about how on the last podcast, most previous podcast we did, there's a chance that they struggle with one of these teams,
Yep.
right? Like you saw it last year. Again, the script from last year is basically repeating itself again, over and over again. Now, to be fair, we're getting much more high profile games compared to last year, but you play the first three games, you smoke all three teams. You go into week four, your first real test against a Power Five opponent. This one just happens to be a top 10 team, but you know, a top tier opponent. And last year we showed out in that game, and I fully expect, until proven otherwise, that this year will be exactly the same.
Wow. I will say through
I,
this, yeah.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
last thing I'll say is I really liked through the first couple games how we've seen the offense grow. They had some
yeah.
growing pains in game one. They looked a little bit better in game two. They looked unstoppable in game three. To be fair, the opponents have
I've
gotten
gotten
worse in all
yeah,
three games, but still they are executing at a high level.
yeah,
And with good execution comes good opportunities against good teams. So
exactly.
I think it's fine, and we'll get a real litmus test of where this team is at this weekend. And hopefully they make a lot of people look wrong, because right now Illinois is very highly rated.
Yeah,
When I think they're a good football team. They're a
yes.
damn good football
They're better
team,
than I
but
expected.
they're better than I expected as well. However, all that being said, they are being this highly ranked based off of a win at a Duke team that has not looked fantastic since they played, and a win against South Carolina last year, who, by the way, lost 34-7 at home against Vanderbilt this weekend. So, like, again, maybe, just maybe, some people are hyping up Illinois when they really should be hyping up the Hoosiers more. So we'll find out this weekend.
I mean, I respect what Illinois has done. I came into this season thinking they were like a 7-5 team. Because I looked at last year and their games against Purdue, against Northwestern, and I was very underwhelmed. Going to Nebraska, winning in overtime, and they've proven me wrong. It's not so much that they're winning games, even if you're not a big fan of their opponents, but like they went to Duke and won convincingly, right? 45-19. And it was one of those games where they had to weather a little bit of stuff in the first quarter, second quarter, and then they turned on the killer instinct the Mariano Rivera closer gene in the second
Yeah.
half. I mean, they wrecked Duke after halftime. And there were some signals there, right? It was a situation where, hey, they turned Duke into a one-dimensional offense.
Yep.
That was the end of it. I mean, once that happened for Duke, it was done. Um, they confused Indiana, former Indiana commit Brock Lowry, former Indiana offensive coordinator Walt Bell, significantly when
Huh.
Illinois beat Western Michigan 38-0 this past weekend. And again, it's one of those
Well,
situations where Western Michigan struggled to get 200 yards of offense. I am pretty impressed by where Illinois is to this point.
to be fair though, a right-hand turn would confuse Walt Bell in which way to turn.
Man, we've said some pretty insulting things about Walt Bell on this podcast. And
Deserved. From what I had to watch him put me through, deserved. He did a terrible job.
it
An
was not
awful
good.
job.
It was not good.
With a talent that, by the way, that went everywhere.
Well, we even talked about that. I think the podcast right after Tom Allen was fired. It's like within a week, every one of Indiana's players were were called up by high level power conference programs, and it was like, whoa, baby. I mean, heck, you even saw Brendan Sorsby this past weekend put up the top
He's
PFF grade in
great.
the sport. Yeah,
Sorsby's
he's
awesome.
he's very good, and so it's crazy that we are where we are right now. Illinois and Indiana have, you know, overcome some stuff to get to this point. I think that's a pretty key part of the storyline coming into this game. Obviously, Indiana's turned things around very quickly, but remember, this Illinois program had a 2-6 season during COVID. They had a 5-7
Yeah,
season in 2023. They're
yeah,
now 13-3 since the start of last season. Indiana's 14-2 since the start of last season. We're talking about
yeah.
two Big Ten teams that have not always been at the top of the league,
Mm,
thriving in this new era of college football.
yeah.
If you haven't adjusted to the sport over the last couple of years, you don't get the benefit of the doubt from me. I'm looking at you, Florida, right? Like, I'm happy what you did 10 years ago, but the way the sport looks now is very different. I'm looking at you, USC, you know, you might be all right. USC might have a
They might
CFP
actually be good this year.
type of
Yeah.
season, but we have to still see it in order for it to get there. I'm looking at Arkansas. I'm looking at, schools like it's just one of those things where I sit here and I'm like, my God, how can we keep talking about the same stuff over and over again? I'm looking at Clemson, right? Team that, has had a lot of struggles here over the last couple of years when the context and the grand scheme of things in the sport has really changed. Illinois and Indiana have been much better than Clemson, much better than
Yeah,
Florida since the start of the 2024 season. That's the tall and the
for
short of
sure.
it. And so if you want to sit here, and by the way, I said USC, I'm talking about Nebraska, I'm talking about Michigan, right? Since the start of the 24 season too. Like the sport is so different now than it was 2 years ago. Illinois and Indiana have done as good of a job as anybody. And this matchup is being billed as sort of a CFP playing game. Like you said, litmus test, Matt. I would lean more toward what you said. Like, I don't think either one of these teams should be eliminated from the CFP conversation with a loss. Obviously, they'll have some work to do if they do lose this game, but I'm looking forward to seeing both of these teams remain in the top 25, even if they lose. We'll see what actually happens. But again, Illinois' come out. They've looked awesome. There are some big matchups here. Indiana, the Hoosiers have looked great. And Matt and I were talking before this podcast about how like, Fernando Mendoza has looked really good
Mm,
through 3 games so far. And then yes,
mm.
as you pointed out, Matt, the growth, the improvement in his decision making as the season's gone on has been very noticeable. I'm looking forward to seeing him get tested against a top level defense to this point. Indiana, for the most part, has avoided injury outside of Lee Beebe. Now this will give Kobe Martin a chance to be a second or third complementary running back option. But otherwise, injury-wise, Indiana has gotten to this point pretty cleanly. The Indiana is running the ball effectively, 300 yards on the ground each of the first three games, I believe, which is unbelievable. Um, the passing attack has looked awesome. The defense has looked very good. They've stayed healthy. A little bit of improvement can be made for sure, especially looking back to that Old Dominion game where they gave up two big rushing touchdowns to the quarterback. But Colton Joseph at Old Dominion seems to be a pretty solid group of five QB that, you know, Curt Cignetti might get in touch with down the road, for all we know. We've talked
Maybe.
about this before, man, in this day and age.
Yeah.
These non-conference games in football or men's basketball or women's basketball, they're not
They're like
just, they're not just
they're
bye games anymore.
they're private scrimmages is what they are.
They're
They're public private scrimmages.
not just bye games anymore. Hey, Colton Joseph, hey, some of the defensive guys on Old Dominion that did a very good job once Indiana got into the red zone. Um, we'll see. We'll see how many Monarchs end up in cream and crimson here next year in a couple of
Yeah,
years.
next year.
Um, all in all, though, thoroughly impressed with what Indiana's done. I just think both of these teams have proven that they should have been preseason top 15. And now I feel like both of these teams should be top 10. Illinois is, but
Yeah.
what have the sports books told you? Indiana should be favored
Against
even
a
if
top
this
10
game
team.
even if this game was on a neutral site.
Yeah.
This Indiana is favored at home, sure, but because of the way the spread is, if you take out the 2.5, 3 points for home field advantage, Indiana's still favored. So
Mm.
the books are disagreeing with the AP poll voters who have, you know, clearly shown that there's a wide
It's
range as far as how seriously they take that job. And here's where we are, Matt. Two excellent teams playing the marquee game of the weekend at Bloomington, Indiana. How about that?
it's awesome. But side tangent. To in order to vote in the AP poll, you should have to pass an IQ test.
Or just watch the
Or like
game. Just watch the
that's
sport.
the thing. That you should have to stream yourself as an AP voter sitting in front of the TV watching nothing but college football all fucking day. Sorry, all freaking day. I'm so mad about this though. Sorry. Sorry, you're gonna have to edit that out. Uh but I'm so mad about this because I sit there online and I look at these stupid people with the
it's
poll
such a wide
and
range,
and
man.
and who watched South Carolina play last weekend and ranks them 10th. 10th.
With a quarterback injury. Like,
They
it
lost
shouldn't
34-7 at home to Vanderbilt, who, by the way, Vanderbilt might be good, but
yeah, yeah,
still
yeah.
lost 34-7 at home. You
Correct.
shouldn't be ranked after you lose 34-7 at home ever. Sorry for dropping the F word,
Well,
but man, it pisses me
well,
off.
that's why I really like how Ant has collaborated with Indiana HQ for us and several other Big Ten accounts because I know for sure that the folks who are in that power poll do pay attention. Now, you don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with them, and there are a wide range of opinions there, but like at some point, you know, the issue is that the AP poll is significant as far as notes and nuggets that college football programs put into their press releases. College football Hall of Fame inductions are based a lot of time on, hey, what happened as far as the AP Top 25 is concerned. Ranked wins, unranked wins, this, that, whatever. It's significant. It's meaningful. It's profound. You don't have to like that. That's the case, but my gosh, that's the way it is. Take it seriously. Anyway, yeah, it's really frustrating to see that sort of thing. But now it's sort of put up or shut up time in the sense that Indiana now gets a home game, I should say, against a marquee team. And let's get talking about the matchup, Matt. Illinois comes
Huh?
to Memorial
Let's do it.
Stadium, 7:30 kickoff on NBC. Noah Eagle, I believe, is on the call along with Todd Burmeister. Um, As we pointed out, Indiana is a 4.5, 5.5 point favorite, depending on where you look. The over-under's at 52.5. That tells you that the final score in this game, according to the books, will be something like 28-24, 29-24. It's appointment TV. Clear your schedule if you haven't already. Hopefully, have tickets. The game is sold out. The temperature on Saturday should be magical. The conditions will be perfect for football. The sun will be out as it sets around 7:30 Eastern time, and then you'll get a
Nice.
full-on prime time setting. It's a little bit different than the last game that was the last, sort of big night game, power conference, Big Ten night game in Memorial Stadium, which was that bucket game where it was snowing and all that sort of thing. Um,
Yeah.
Not going to be the case Saturday evening when you're talking about upper 70s, sunset,
No
twilight
snow.
hour. Um, Lot of ways to dissect this matchup, Matt. Obviously, Luke Altmaier is the QB1 at Illinois. He's off to an excellent start this season. Illinois went into Duke. They can beat you through the air. They can beat you on the ground. They could beat you with defense. What's the first thing you're looking at as far as this matchup is concerned? Top 20 teams. We feel like they're really top 10. Illinois, Indiana, Saturday night.
I'm actually not even looking at the teams. I'm looking at the coaching battle. That's what I'm
Ooh.
looking at. Because Bielema is a guy that's been there, done that. Like he's competed at a high level in the Big Ten before. So like
Sure.
him having a team in the top 10 and competitive, built on defense and running the ball. Like, come on, he's done this before at Wisconsin. This is we've seen him do this before. This is not new territory for
By
him.
the way, think Wisconsin wants him.
Yeah, that was really dumb to
Oh.
fire him. Like
Woo.
looking back on it, so stupid. Anyways,
Man.
um, no, like the one that has everything to prove is Cignetti in this matchup. I
Yeah.
mean, you get a top 10 team at home when you've been clamoring for fans to come out to the games, right? To watch this team play, which I mean they should,
Yep.
but
Yep.
irregardless, you got to stand on business. You also last year IU didn't beat a ranked team, right? And so again, this will be your first ranked win as the head coach of Indiana, and you've been talking like Indiana should be at a higher level nationally than they are currently being respected as.
Mhm.
So you got to put up or shut up. This is the game. This is the game. This sets the tone for the rest of the season because if you go out there and you are underprepared and the team looks frazzled and no one's ready to play and there's a bunch of penalties and Illinois just comes out, runs it down our throats, wins the game. There's going to be nothing but talk about us being frauds from here until the end of the season, unless we somehow miraculously beat both Oregon and Penn State, and Illinois ends up being just like a top five team.
Yeah. Which they might be
Like,
even if they do win if they do win in Bloomington. But again, the first part I think is the biggest thing. You're gonna go to Iowa City, you're gonna go to Eugene, and you're gonna go to Penn State. Like,
you gotta win. You have a prime win
yeah,
opportunity
yeah,
at home. You have to take advantage of this. This has to be Cignetti's best coached game, maybe of his career. If he really
yeah.
wants things to get rolling in Bloomington, if he really wants things this season to do well, if he really wants to, look, let's face it, Curt's old. Like Coach Sig's old. If he wants to get this program really rolling and where he wants it to be, it's it started last year, but it launches off of this game, especially for this season, to get the dominoes really, really going in the direction you want them to be going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, he's accomplished so much, right? Like across his time at
Yeah,
JMU and now at Indiana, again, 14,
absolutely.
14 and
Yes.
2 is an unbelievable record to this point. 8-1 in Big Ten play. Um, you have what you want now, right? The
Yeah.
foundation's been set, the platform's been established. Now you get a top 10 team coming to your building, and they are
This
every
is the
bit of it.
opportunity. This is the opportunity he's been talking about since he was at the basketball game saying
Yeah.
Purdue, Michigan, and Ohio State's like
He knew something,
this is
Matt.
the
He
game.
he didn't say Illinois. I mean, he must have known. He had an inkling. He
He
had an
must,
inclination that, of course, Ohio State ended up winning it all. But it's noticeable. Like
yeah,
Illinois, Indiana have done an amazing job since the start of last season. I mean, for me, like the coaching matchup for sure. Defensive coordinator Aaron Henry, for example, yesterday has said a lot of uh praiseworthy things about where Indiana is right now. Um, he's done a great job at Illinois. The offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator under Bielema, you know,
yeah,
very much interested to see, which Big Ten coordinators get coaching interviews here in this upcoming off season. But one of the key matchups I'm paying attention to is the trench battle. Like,
mm,
I don't think much more needs to be said, especially when you look at Indiana's performance in that area against Notre Dame and Ohio State,
yeah,
or Ohio State, Notre Dame in that order. Curt Cignetti called it out point blank. He told Big Ten Network during media days, we've got to get better up front to beat the big boys. And Illinois is a big boy.
yep.
They're
They got some big boys on their team.
do well, especially on the defensive front. They remind me a lot of those peak Wisconsin teams. They remind me a lot of,
Yeah.
you know, some of the great teams we've seen in the Big Ten. I don't know if I'll go so far as to say they're as good as the, Aiden Hutchinson or Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham defensive lines that we saw at Michigan in recent years, but they're very close. They're very close. And
Yeah.
Indiana had to start Zen Mahalski at right tackle because Khalil Benson was out with a violation of team rules. Uh, yeah, at the end of the day, right? Like the five guys up front have to be on top of their game against Illinois. Gabe Akis is a pass rusher whose name you need to know. He wears number 17 for Illinois. He was at Big Ten Media Days representing Illinois. Um, if he lines up against Carter Smith, you feel pretty good because Carter Smith is an excellent left tackle.
Yes.
If he lines up on the other side against Bray Lynch, Zen Mahalski, Khalil Benson, Indiana's going to have
Yeah.
to figure some things out as a game planning, from a game planning standpoint, because that's not, that's something Indiana's going to have to adjust to. This Illinois defense is very, very, very good. We talked about how they did an excellent job against Duke. We talk about that matchup. They gave up 438 yards, but they eliminated Duke's running game,
Yep.
erased it. I mean,
Yeah.
Duke tried running the ball with the quarterback, with the running backs. Nothing. I mean, absolutely
Nothing.
nothing as far as the ground game is concerned. Illinois ended up winning that game 45-19, largely because of the way they erased the rushing effort. And I don't have to get into what Illinois did against Western Illinois or Western Michigan. They completely dominated those two opponents. So, Matt's going to
Mm.
look at the coaching matchup. I'm looking at the trenches. Of course, on the other side, I think Indiana does have the upper hand in the sense of we throw out Kellen Wyatt and Stephen Daly and Jose Wheeler and Tyreek Tucker, and Mikhail Kamara against an Illinois offensive line that has been a little bit shaky.
Yeah.
And so it's not just a matter of, oh man, Illinois has all the advantages, all the advantage. No, it's not the case at all. A huge
Mm.
advantage for Indiana in this matchup is where, is this defense, this defensive front in particular, having a very good opportunity against Illinois' offensive line. And all in all, like it's been an uphill battle. Center Josh
Yeah.
Kreutz for Illinois, the center, through 3 games has given up 5 pressures. That's not what the center should be doing.
No. That's really bad.
Uh, guard Brandon Henderson, another interior offensive lineman, has given up 3 pressures to this point. for the Illini. Tackle JC Davis has given up a couple. Melvin Priestley, his PFF grade to this point is 44. He's the starting right tackle for Illinois. So there are
Right.
ways Indiana can take advantage here of an Illinois offensive line. I'm looking forward to seeing the trench battle go into this thing. I mean, we talked about this in the offseason, Matt, but like before we dig even further into this matchup, like I want to set a minute or two to talk about how Indiana in the offseason lost CJ West to the NFL draft. They lost James
Yeah.
Carpenter to graduation.
Yeah.
They lost Mike Caddick to Barstool.
Yeah.
The way Cignetti revamped the trenches on both sides of the ball, to me,
Mm.
is kind of the story of this game, is it not?
Absolutely. A lot of our best transfers, our most hyped transfers came on the D line and O line. These were guys that came in and we were like, okay, we got holes to fill. We filled them, right? We filled them. We got these bodies coming in. They're gonna be good.
It's awesome.
It's time to put up or shut up. You're playing against a team. You got you got a chance here against a team that has a legit D line, and you as a defensive line that has looked a little bit suspect through the first couple games, you have a
Right.
chance to really expose an Illinois offensive line that has shown weakness throughout the beginning of the year. So let's do it.
Let's see it.
Let's do it.
Let's see
Let's
it.
see it.
I mean,
Show me something.
I didn't even talk about Mario Landino, the in-house guy who
Yes.
has continued progressing. I didn't talk about Isaiah Jones, who's done a good job getting into the backfield. Elijah Hardy. I know he's a linebacker, but he's part of the blitz packages that get into the backfield and go out and do their thing. It's incredible to see a coach talk about trenches as much as Cignetti has, recruit to it, win those battles, and then see those guys thrive on the field. Like that bit alone is why you should feel comfortable about Indiana's long-term future. Of course, we want them to win in the short-term future, like Saturday night. But
Yeah. I want to win all the times. All the time.
but the way you build up the defensive line, the pass rush through Kamara, Landino, Stephen Daly, Jose Wheeler, Tyreek Tucker, coming at you in waves. Dominique Ratliff has had good snaps. Kellen White has had good snaps. This is where that type of approach, that type of mentality pays off. We've
Mm.
said it before on this podcast. We've never seen Indiana do this before on the trenches. Pat Coogan, bringing Khalil Benson back. It's really impressive. And this is where you go up against a team like Illinois that's had a little bit of a bumpy ride on the offensive line. Iowa next week. And again, these games come fast and furious now, Matt.
Yep.
We road trip to Kinnick the following Saturday afternoon. Iowa's
Jesus.
got a shaky offensive line. We'll talk about that matchup next week, but man, like it comes at you now in waves, and you're not relying on one guy. You're relying on seven or eight or nine, and that's why I'm really excited to see what Indiana is capable of doing here. We'll talk more about this matchup in just a sec, but first, it's time for Who Won the Week this past week in IU sports, and we can really talk about several different things here. Hey, how about Lamar Wilkerson, who made a donation to Sam Houston State, based on a comment he made to the Field of 68? How about someone like Kyle Schwarber, who continues doing big time things with the Philadelphia Phillies, the former Hoosier hitting bombs left, right, and center in the race for the MLB home run title? How about the men's soccer team that's doing awesome stuff here? They were previously ranked number one in the country. for a bit of an annoying loss to Michigan, but the Hoosiers are right in the mix as far as the national title is concerned. Looking forward to seeing Coach Yeagley do his thing the rest of the way. Indiana guys doing good things in the NFL as well. And so Mackenzie Holmes in the playoffs, the Seattle Storm, incredible come from behind win for the Storm last night against the Aces in the WNBA playoffs. So they'll have a decisive game 3 there. A lot of great stuff here. Grace Berga had a very good finish to the regular season with the Dallas
Yep.
Wings, and now Grace and
She actually
Mackenzie.
played.
I
Yeah.
know, and like contributed. Like Dallas's performance directly improved thanks to Grace Berger seeing the court. And so now Grace and Mackenzie will both play in Australia in the off season once the WNBA season wraps up. So, Matt's going to be our Eastern Hemisphere IU women's
Report.
basketball correspondent.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
keeping track of the Australian league over there. So, a lot of great stuff going around across Hoosier Nation. Everyone, everyone I mentioned, you all won the week this past week in the IU sports. Folks, a reminder, if you enjoy our show, leave us a review, tell a friend, share our links. Your support really helps us grow this podcast and reach more passionate IU fans such as yourself. A reminder, you can find us on social media at Indiana HQ as well as at the Hoosier Sound. Matt, one of the things I like doing when I break down a matchup here. Two top 25 teams, two top 20 teams according to AP poll, two top 10 teams, if you ask me in my heart of hearts. Um, I kind of like breaking it down into 4 ways. Okay. You know, Indiana's rushing offense against the other team's rushing defense.
Mm,
Indiana's passing offense against the other team's passing defense. The
right.
other team's run against our like that, the 4 ways. So if you look at the four matchups, run O versus run D, pass O versus pass D for both teams, which of those four do you feel like Indiana has the biggest advantage, the biggest edge going into Saturday night's game?
Oh, this is a good question. I think it's going to be our run defense versus their run attack.
Mm.
Because I don't like what I've really seen from the secondary. And to be honest, I think Illinois' defense is very solid. So I don't
Now,
think we really
that's
have
pretty
that.
impressive you're saying that because Old Dominion did rip off a couple big runs. You still feel pretty good about our run defense against Illinois' rushing attack.
Old Dominion ripped off a bunch of big runs, doing something that they hadn't really done
Sure.
the previous year. So
Right.
there wasn't a ton of film
Yeah.
on them doing what they did. Right. The
By the way, their
like
quarterback for the first half of last year is now an Indiana Hoosier, Grant Wilson. The dual
exactly.
threat guy came along second half last year, to your point.
Right, right. So this was some newer tape, some newer stuff that IU just wasn't as filled up on. We stifled every other team we've played, like running the ball. It has not been an issue in the other two games at all to me. So I think that is more indicative of our run defense compared to first game getting some of the rust off, and also the fact that they were running some stuff that they just hadn't seen before. So, um, yeah, I mean, Illinois has definitely shown enough tape now where they'll be fully prepared, and I think they can stifle Illinois' defense. And I want Altmaier to throw it. Like I beg this IU team to make Altmaier throw because I think he's just a very average QB. So
Wow. Really? You think he's average?
I think he's like slightly above average, but like
Yeah,
still, he's not
no,
a
I
world beater. I think
yeah.
Mendoza's better than him by a significant margin.
I can see what you're saying there. I can see what you're saying. Fifth season of college football for Luke Altmaier. Um,
From Mississippi.
yeah, Ole Miss. Uh, he's had a very good start to the season as far as his PFF grade is concerned, but for what it's worth, week 1 was a little bit shaky. Similar situation to Fernando Mendoza there. Um, uh, no turnover worthy plays yet for Luke Altmaier. He's played a perfect 3 weeks as far as avoiding those turnover worthy plays, according to Pro Football Focus. But last year, he had 14 of them for the entirety of the season. And if that resurfaces itself, you're going to get a situation where, hey, Indiana could potentially force several takeaways. The big road game Illinois played at Penn State last year was a game where Luke Altmaier had 4 turnover-worthy plays. He was pretty good when they went to Nebraska and won in overtime. But even when they went to Oregon, Week 9 last year, he had a couple of turnover-worthy plays. His two
He
worst
makes
games, his
mistakes.
two worst games of the season last year were at Penn State and at Oregon, and they were significantly worse than what he did the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Including a bowl game where he was very good against South Carolina. But to your point, you put him on the road against what we think is a top 10 level team in Indiana. And if it shows up as something similar to that road trip to Oregon last year, the road trip to Penn State last year, Luca Altmaier might be in for a tough evening. For me, I really want to say that Indiana's run game is going to poke holes at Illinois' run defense. But you know what? I'm not going to overthink it. Let the passing attack unleash
Yes, please.
against this Illinois pass defense. And especially when I look at the weather here, it doesn't look like right now there's going to be much wind in the air either on Saturday night. Um, this is the foundation of Indiana football, isn't it? Under Curt Cignetti,
Mm. Yep,
quarterback
absolutely.
development, intermediate and advanced passing concepts. And what we saw against Ohio State and Notre Dame were games where Curtis Schwartz didn't do his best. In fact, he did his worst. Much like we're talking about how Luke Altmaier struggled at Oregon at Penn State, Curtis Schwartz struggled at Ohio State at Notre Dame.
Yep.
Let's see Fernando Mendoza, you know, rip off the fireworks against this Illinois,
Rise to the occasion.
especially when you consider that Duke had a lot of success throwing the football in a one-dimensional state back in week 2. By the way, a Duke team that is worse than Old Dominion in several analytical models right now. Curt Cignetti, I'm sure, would like for you to know that. Um, Duke had a lot of success throwing the football. Darian Mensah accumulated over 300 passing yards in that game, and he is not the level of quarterback that Fernando Mendoza is. Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper. My big question, though, is there a third receiver that's going to step up? One of the things we talked about preseason is that Indiana's third receiver might be the running backs.
Well, our best receiving running back is now gone for the season. So,
Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing Roman Hemby do that work, pick up the slack a little bit there. Of course, I texted my brother during the game Saturday night that, excuse me, last Friday night that Kobe Martin, starting running back in 2026. And
maybe.
lo and behold,
Honestly, maybe.
soon after that, we got the news. Of course, BB was injured, but soon after that, on Monday, we got the news BB was out for the season.
Yeah.
Kobe Martin, man, he looks awesome. And again, this is somebody who's very passionate and prideful about the IU football program, in-state guy. Rivalry game,
Oh,
is it?
okay. Oh, it's not a rivalry. I mean, we don't have a rivalry with Illinois.
Big classic Big Ten matchup.
Classic Big Ten matchup. If this
Classic
was
Big Ten.
basketball, we have a rivalry. But this is football. We don't want no,
I
no
see, I
rivalry. And
see.
and
Yeah.
Illinois fans want to make it a rivalry. It's their IU has two rivals in football. All right, they have two.
Purdue.
It's Kentucky and
Oh,
Purdue.
Kentucky. Okay.
All right. And you guys are in the same category as Ohio State and Michigan and Wisconsin and the rest of the teams that we all hate equally as much. But that's only because we have to see you guys every year. Like, or every other
Good
year, or
stuff.
however long I take. We see you guys very often, right?
Yeah,
Illinois is not a rival.
I agree. I agree
Notre
wholeheartedly.
Dame is more of a rival to Indiana
Yeah,
than Illinois
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. I see your point.
Louisville is more of a
Louisville.
rival
Yeah.
than Illinois is.
Uh, we'll see here. EJ Williams has taken a step up at wide receiver, so potentially EJ
Brady's
will.
looked decent the last couple
Brady.
games. Last two games, Brady has gotten a lot more catches.
So, it's fascinating. If Cignetti leans into Jonathan Brady a little bit more, you'll see Cooper pushed out wide. If Cignetti leans into EJ Williams a little bit more, you'll see Cooper moved into the slot. The interesting thing is Illinois' best corner is their slot corner. So as
Right.
you dig into the matchup, Xavier Scott has been very good. He does move around quite a bit for Illinois, but if they put him in the slot, um, all of a sudden now you might see opportunities free up for Elijah Surratt out wide or EJ Williams out wide or Omar Cooper out wide against the boundary corners for Illinois, something to keep an eye
Mm.
out for. So, all in all, Matt says, hey, you know what? Our run defense is going to do a great job here in this matchup. That's where Matt thinks we have the biggest edge. I'm saying let the ball fly, baby. Let the air attack
Why
do
not
its
both of
thing.
these things happen? Why can't we both be
And
right?
then why can we not also have our pass defense shut down Luke Altmaier? And then why can't our running game also puncture Illinois for 300 yards? And
I think it's very possible that we just blow the doors off
well,
Illinois. It
Matt,
is very possible.
we'll make our prediction here in just a sec. But first, let's do our social media shout out. Folks, a reminder again, if you enjoy our show, leave us a review. Tell a friend. Share our links. Your support really helps us grow this podcast and reach more passionate IU fans such as yourself on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We are Indiana HQ and at the Hoosier Sound Man on Instagram. We're not Indiana HQ, but what are we?
Indiana.HQ.
You can find us there. Let's make our predictions, Matt, and then dive into some Big Ten picks of the week. As we mentioned earlier, Indiana is a 4.5, 5.5 point favorite, depending on the book. Try to get a 4.5 if you can. It looks like this line is getting pushed out a little bit more. I saw 6 floating around last night. I see 5.5 floating right now. 4.5 is a key number. Four is a key number. If you can get a 4, that'd be great. Indiana projected to win according to the books. Again, 28-24, 29-24. Bill Connolly's S&P Plus model indicates something basically identical. Indiana by 4, 28-24. Matt, who do you have winning this game and by how much?
I have, of course, Indiana winning this game. Now, my brain is split in two directions which to take this prediction because the safe prediction is to say that this is a close game. Right? This is like a 27-24, a 31-23 closest game, right? One
Yeah.
score game. However, I don't play safe on this
Oh
podcast, and
boy.
I never have.
Oh
I
boy.
never have. Indiana comes into Bloomington,
Oh
or Illinois
gosh.
comes into Bloomington
Yeah.
and lays a stinker, a stinky, stinky stinker. I
No.
I have Illinois losing to our Indiana Hoosiers by the score of 34-14.
Who is your player of the game?
Fernando Mendoza
All right.
with a slight shout out. Slight shout out to
Sure.
D'Angelo Pons, who gets 2 picks.
Ooh. Does Indiana want to beat Illinois by a lot?
Oh
Don't.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. You know what'll
I got
happen though.
look,
You know
I
what'll
got
happen
some
though, Matt.
I know what's gonna
You know
happen if
what'll
that
happen,
happens, but I don't care if that happens because I
right?
have had some Illinois fans in my life chirping me for the last 8 months
That's honestly
gonna
so good. Yeah.
that that they're gonna come into Bloomington and somehow beat us after we made the playoffs and then they beat a mediocre South Carolina team and then they get ranked above us. Okay?
Yeah.
Come,
Yeah.
come, come, come to
You
come to the
know,
rock.
we've talked way too much about the AP poll in here. We've talked a lot about NIL transfer portal in here. That is the foundation of college football, isn't it? That you can talk
Yes,
crap to your friends, to
you
your
can talk crap to your
colleagues,
friends
to your family
about
who went to the
uh,
other school
about
across the border.
two teams, by the way, whose odds to win the title are very, very slim. To play for a national title, very possible. To win a national title, both of these teams are on the very much on the outside looking in. But that doesn't matter because it's this is why we love the sport. This is why what makes college sports awesome. You don't have to win the championship to have bragging rights. You
You
just gotta
definitely don't.
win the game.
You don't.
Gotta
Yeah.
win, gotta play to win the game. Win the
Yeah.
game.
Uh, I was thinking about that a lot watching Georgia at Tennessee last Saturday.
You gotta play to win the game. You gotta play
And
to win the
just how
game.
like I don't know, obviously a team like Georgia is always in the national title mix. But man, if like Tennessee makes that kick at the end, how much nonsense is Tennessee Nation, Vol Nation, talking to
Throwing back at Georgia,
all their
yes.
Georgia friends and family and colleagues and this and that for the next year because it's not NFL. You
Those
don't get two divisional matchups. You get one, if that.
Oh, wait, those two fan bases are about as close to each other as you possibly
That's
can. I
crazy,
mean,
right?
I
Like,
the Tennessee Georgia line is like what the Indiana Louisville like
yeah,
fan base is, but that's
yeah,
only in Louisville. Like it is blended in between each
yeah.
other on that line there. There's
And
Tennessee
then
fans in Georgia and Georgia fans in Tennessee. Like, yeah, they
they're in
they
the
go to
same
work with each
workplace.
other.
They're in the same
Yes.
schools. They're in the same, camps. They're in the same this, that, whatever,
Absolutely.
same grocery, the same grocery store whenever they have to get food for the week. Like Tennessee then missed the kick. And the shoe is now on the other foot, where it's just Georgia.
Unbelievable. I
Georgia.
mean,
Bulldog fans just for the next
Heupel,
forever, right? Like, man.
Heupel icing his own kicker is just one
Yeah,
of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life.
that was nuts. I do have Indiana winning this game too, Matt. I have it close.
That's the safe bet.
Well, it is. You're right. But at the same time, I think what it's rooted in for me is that there are two teams that have really impressed me through three games in the Big Ten, Oregon and Illinois. Oregon, 69-3, I think was the final over Oklahoma State. And I know Oklahoma State's a poor Power Four team, but like poor in multiple ways, apparently. But all I'm saying is like Oregon against Northwestern. I mean, they looked awesome against Oregon State. I think they'll look awesome against Oklahoma State. They looked awesome. That was not the case last year, where they sort of scraped by Idaho and Boise State before going undefeated in the regular season. Illinois has looked wow, like fantastic. So it's just a respect tip of the cap to Illinois. Brett Bielema's a good coach. Luke Altmaier's a good quarterback. They have weaknesses, sure. I think Indiana wins this game. Um, I think this goes over. I think
I
this
think they're
goes
scoring.
over. I think the score goes over. So I'm gonna go 30-27. I like
Not bad
I
guess.
like where both offenses are. Um, I do wonder how Indiana's going to handle the kicking punting game here. Quinn Warren, Nico Radicic, we'll see. Does Cignetti go for it on fourth down a little bit more just to lean into his offense? Hey, this is our crux, this is our foundation. We'll see what happens there. But if Nico Radicic has to kick a 30-something yarder to win the game, I feel more confident in him doing it than Tennessee's kicker last week, who I think had to do it from
Yeah.
42
Mm.
or 45 or something after the penalty. So, um, if it's in the 30s, I feel good about Nico Radicic making that kick to take Indiana across the finish line. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. It should be fun. It should be a big time matchup here. Um, it's gonna be absolutely awesome to see Indiana host a top 10 matchup and potentially beat a top 10 team in front of fans at home for the first time since 1967. That's kind of
You're
crazy to
talking.
think about, but
That is crazy.
that is uh that is where it's at. Indiana, Illinois, Matt, is one of 8 games this weekend involving
Mm.
Big Ten teams. Conference play gets into fuller force this weekend. There are a couple of non-conference rivalries with Oregon State, Oregon, Washington at Washington State,
Mm-hmm.
Purdue, Notre Dame. Matt and I like to look at the different point spreads, the over-unders, like to give an upset pick or two here on the Big Ten slate this weekend. Matt, what are your one or two Big Ten picks of the week for this weekend in the league?
That is a great question. So I have Oregon covering against Oregon State.
Yeah, me too. I have that one too.
They're
Yeah,
they're favored by 35. They will win
yeah.
by 40
Try
plus.
to find a 34 and a half if you can. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
they're gonna cover. They're gonna cover. I have Iowa over under
Yeah,
45 and a half
yeah,
against Rutgers.
yeah,
And last one,
yeah,
Washington covers against Washington State's
yeah.
19 and a half.
It's funny, like the Pac-12 Twitter account was dancing on was sort of victory lapping UCLA losing to New Mexico Friday night. And I'm like, hold on. First of all,
What are we doing
like
here?
you are now just 2 teams and your 2 teams are not good. Like man, talk about, stone, what is it? Stone, glass house, whatever.
Throwing stones in a glass
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. Man, not a good look.
To be fair, we could ship UCLA back to the Pac-12 if they want them. They could take them.
Well, no, I don't want to do that.
No, we need their
Football's not
basketball.
the football.
We
The
need the rest of
basketball
their
is great.
the rest of their athletic
Everything and
department
the
is
football
fine.
will be fine. Indiana was going through this patch a couple years ago. Like their football team will figure it out. They just have to course correct significantly. Um, I got
Right,
Mar.
Deshaun Foster was always a stupid hire.
Yeah, it was.
He had no head coaching
Yeah,
experience. You're
yeah,
giving her a Power 4 job now?
yeah.
Like,
And even if money's a problem, like don't go that route, right? Like hire an assistant that you're excited
go,
about at a group of 5 levels. Whatever, right? Like
yeah, exactly.
yeah, don't go that route. There's so many quality high school and college programs in California. You don't have to go the Deshaun Foster route.
You could have gone, yeah, you could have gone to high school in California and gotten somebody, by the way.
yeah. And again, it would have been outside the box. It would have been cheap, but if that's how you're gonna go, it's fine. Like, cool. Um, I have Oregon covering against Oregon State. Um, I have Maryland covering 10 at Wisconsin. The line has pushed out. I think it opened at 6.5 or 7 or 7.5. I think 10. I think 10 is a lot, and it's not super confident, but I do think Maryland covers 10. I mean,
I think
I
they could
think
upset them.
yeah, I think they could too. I don't know if there's something going on as to why this line is swinging significantly towards Wisconsin more and more. Maybe there's an injury there that I'm not aware of, but I do think 10 is still enough as far as the cover there. I'm going to take Purdue to cover 24.5 at Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame will be much better like in a month. I think this is a really good spot for Purdue with no pressure to go into South Bend playing better football and covering 24.5. And
I
then
think
yeah.
Florida State will win the most improved team this year award for
Ooh.
college football, but Purdue is going to be second. I think
I
Purdue's not going to be that bad. I think
there
Purdue
yeah.
might actually be somewhat
Yeah,
half decent,
I agree. I
which
agree.
which is
Which, hey, that helps Indiana's, strength of schedule metrics and all. So, hey, I'll take that every day of the week. Um, and then my upset's Nebraska. Like, this is pretty telling to me that Michigan's a 2.5 point favorite in this game. Like, the books are very clearly sitting here saying we don't want to make Nebraska a 1 or 2 point favorite at home toss up. We are making Michigan, a team that went to Oklahoma and struggled. We are making Michigan a favorite. Like they're telling you, Michigan
yeah.
deserves to be favored. And I feel like that should, you know, steer me in the opposite direction. But I just don't take the 2.5 if you're a Nebraska backer. Just take Nebraska to win. I
Just
don't
take
care.
money line.
I don't care
Yeah.
for the 1 or 2 points. Just take Nebraska to win. And if nothing else, Nebraska should start hot, similar to what Oklahoma did. And if that happens, you can maybe take a live cover on Michigan and try to hedge that as that game goes. And then there was one other thing. It took Wisconsin, took Purdue, took Nebraska to win. No, I think that's it. Other stuff, top 25, nothing really. I like Oklahoma to cover 6.5 against Auburn. Um, but I think that's kind of where I am as far as this week's slate is concerned. Feel free to throw on any other games you're interested in, Matt. Otherwise, it's time for final thoughts. Anything on your mind before we wrap up here on this Wednesday?
Uh no, I got nothing left on the betting front.
Florida, Miami. Miami is 7.5.
Miami's only favored by 7.5 in that game.
Yeah.
Quadruple, like whatever amount of money. That Florida team is awful.
Because I
Awful.
figured you'd have
Booty
a thought
cheeks
or two.
awful.
Home state.
Holmes, by the way, I haven't seen a Miami team this good since I was a teen. Like,
Yeah.
no, not even a teenager, since I was like 10.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen a Miami team. Less than 10. I'm probably like 5 or 6.
I'm
I've seen a
pumped,
Miami team this
man.
good.
Good for the ACC. Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Get this old Clemson stuff out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it. I
Well,
like it.
Florida State's old. Florida State's always good.
Yeah, they are, but I guess just from the last couple years. Of course, Florida
Yeah,
State did go undefeated, but anyway.
doesn't matter. Anyways, final thoughts. Hopefully it's a good game on Saturday. I'll be watching it Sunday morning
Yeah.
because it'll be Sunday
Well,
morning my
it's
time
yeah,
when it
time zone.
happens.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I will have to go to work and teach kids while this game is happening. So pray. I hope you
Mm.
all have me in your thoughts and prayers as I will be working and checking my phone at the same time and praying to God that my boss is not watching the camera while I'm teaching a kid how to say the word yellow and looking at Fernando Mendoza throw a pass because it's going to happen. They can't stop me. Um, and I know there's one or two of my coworkers that listen to this podcast, and I'm telling you guys, if you snitch on me, if you snitch on me, I will pour ice cream into your desk chair. Thank you.
Man. Um, this is it. I mean, you have your home game against the top 10 team. I mean, let's go. Let's put
You
on a
have your
show.
chance.
Let's put on a
Yes.
show. You've done all the hard work to this point. This is the easy
All the
stuff, right?
cameras are on you. It's the game of the weekend in college football. It's the best ranked unranked matchup
By far.
that's out there.
Again, college game day
I
is not
mean,
going to
I
gaslight
mean, the
me.
Utah game is pretty good, but
Pretty good. Not as good.
this is the prime time game
Well, it's
for the week.
Texas Tech Utah's pretty good for sure. I'll be watching,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
not as good. Michigan,
not
Nebraska's not as good. Florida, Miami's not as
no,
good. No matter how much you want to get
no.
gaslit, this is the best one. This is the best one. This is the best matchup of the week, and it's in Bloomington, Indiana at the Rock. Like, Sig, you've done the hard work, man. Shanahan, Haynes, you've done the hard work. You know, think about, right, this is my final, like, think about all the frustration and hostility that you dealt with going into Ohio State and going into
Yes.
Notre Dame and how difficult it was to play on the road. in those venues. And I know Indiana doesn't have as many seats as the Shoe or South Bend, but like the environment, the hostility, right? When Jeremiah Love breaks off that big run, the camera is shaking. When Ohio State gets that block punt, the camera is shaking. Like, take all of that frustration and hostility that you dealt with in those two road games
Mm.
and turn it around.
Yep.
You now impose that on your opponent. Come out hot, force Illinois on the back foot, make them one dimensional, make correct adjustments at halftime, keep Illinois at arm's reach. I think it'll be a close game, but I can see an outcome that Matt talked about where Indiana gets out to a lead, 2 scores, 3 scores, keeps in Illinois at arm's reach. Indiana crosses the finish line, and then you use that as a wind, as a vibe, as a momentum into your Iowa road game, your Penn State, your Oregon road game. Those two are coming up and you're gonna feel the ground shaking because Kinnick is gonna be rocking, especially if they beat Rutgers on Friday night, and
Mm.
Eugene for sure is gonna be rocking considering how well they've played over the course of 24 and 25 seasons. So turn it around here. Impose that home field advantage on your opponent because Illinois is damn good, and if you give them opportunity, if you give them room, they're going to take advantage of it. But folks, that about wraps it up for our 351st show of the Hoosiers Sound. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your support. To hear more fantastic episodes like the one you heard today, be sure to follow us at Indiana HQ or at the Hoosiers Sound to make sure you don't miss any in the future. You can also go to our website, indianahq.com, to find it all in one place. But as always, thank you for listening, Hoosier Nation. We will see you next time.
Peace and love. Go Hoosiers.